Cool. So we're just going to have a look at our weekly watch list, kind of just finalize it for the week. So I've done my Friday market breakdown now, so not really too fussed about this, but I'll just go through it for the end of week. So on the weekly, we've had the DXY kind of tap into this override zone, which is nice. We've had a nice little push away, and now we're just looking for continuation. The way I'm looking at this is potentially this can actually form as a larger head and shoulders. It's a little bit easier to see on the weekly. So we have a 1, 2, 3. We've got a potential for this unconfirmed left shoulder. So more so like if I just pull out this tool, might be a little bit better. And then let me just flip that, stick it over here. And then I'll put it on the daily. So essentially how I would see it is like this. We have a left shoulder, head, a right shoulder. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, obviously, but that's definitely an area of interest, which is in the middle of nowhere here, but on the left we can see it. So if it pulls up, we can definitely see if price comes up here with structure. That would be a target zone for the sell, and then we can have this higher time frame, larger head and shoulders. The only bit is it doesn't really majorly line up with anything other than this inflection point, which is still good. It's interesting to see that the left shoulder's in line with it as well, but yeah, but we can definitely still sell off from here. So that's kind of the DXY. Not really much in a nutshell. We had NFP kind of come out, push DXY up, which was expected. This can just correct and come all the way back down anyway. So it is what it is. At the moment, we're not really seeing any sort of progressive upwards correction at the moment. We still need to see that develop. So that's DXY. USD yen, similar, but right now where it is in terms of structure, unlike a few of the other yen pairs were in a very nice area of structure. This kind of just rejected off the middle of nowhere. So I think this is just a bit of the volatility from news. I think we are still going to be looking at some downside. I wouldn't get too caught up in this. Perhaps this could be a larger flag, and this can just be forming the high and the low. So definitely wait for this to play out, let this kind of correct, and then create its pattern and show its development. If I was to draw it out, it would look more so maybe something like this. It could be many different ways to look at it. So, just take it as it comes, really. Aussie yen, similar to USD yen, but with the other yen pairs, they're quite close to these override zones. But if a majority of these yen pairs sell off, I think we could just drop off. But I've got 2 points I'm looking at. I'm looking at this is the push up and a flag, and then the next override is the push up and a flag. It's pretty simple, pretty easy stuff. CAD Gen, I'm looking at this to kind of create something a bit larger so we can actually potentially push through this. And if we push through this, then we can see that across the board with a lot of the yen pairs. Huge sell momentum, but we haven't had any large flags yet since the sell-off. We've only had this sort of correction that was a correction, fell into another correction and sold off. So with this sort of very corrective move down, we might feel this little near miss gap or even tap into that and then push away. So the same thing I'm looking at with Kajen really is this is the area of interest. We might hit this inflection point and then sell off, but if we make it with structure, that's where I might be interested to get entertained. USD CAD, I think it's phenomenal at the moment. I think USD CAD has definitely played well. So we had non-farming payrolls come out, which caused this volatile spike up here. It's no surprise that it tapped into the 1, 2, 3, and then we had a push down, and now we're correcting and making a flag to continue to the lower. So this could potentially be the entry zone for the bigger play, and then this could essentially just correct and make its way down here, which is extremely interesting. So that's something that I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on and being aware of, because that could be a phenomenal run in this bigger scale of things. US 30. So US 30, we actually began getting commitment, but unfortunately we weren't able to continue. Let's just say that with the volatility we had in the market, it is what it is. We might be having this sort of descending channel now where it kind of scoops up and then corrects down here, and then we pull all the way back up. Yeah, there's a few ways I look at it. I mean, at the moment, it's not the progressive price action I'm looking for. We had that nice little commitment and then kind of corrected back up now. So it is what it is. USD 30 kind of not really on my radar anymore. Silver, silver was looking good, but unfortunately, same situation with the volatility. I was hoping that it would hold and then continue pushing price. We didn't get the flag that I was looking for, unfortunately. So due to no flag, no trade, it is what it is. The next one is New Zealand CAD. Now, New Zealand CAD is extremely bullish. Looking at it on the weekly time frame, you can especially see that, we are in strong steam ahead. This was sort of inflection points, but no level of major significance. We have level 1, 2, and 3. I would say that they're inflection points more so than override points. I think this would be closer to an override, and this would be more so as my override 2. But because price has been so corrective and messy on the way down, there's so many little points that we can look at that essentially could, form as a turning point or a pullback point. So I wouldn't get too caught up with a lot of these little picks. I'll just be aware that we could see some sort of pullback. But I think with this sort of momentum, if we get a larger correction, that's where I'll be looking to get involved. But that could take weeks. So I'd definitely be being aware that we could get something like this, and then this pair won't be on watch for quite a while. But we've had this strong momentum up, honestly. This week's been phenomenal, and the weeks following before. So very, very amazing run for this pair. Euro USD. So Euro USD, I was originally looking at the short in this zone. So we had the 1, 2, 3. Unlike a few of the other pairs. This one, I think, with the backing of NFP and with the way DXY is looking, we could potentially see a sell-off before we come and fill this gap. So this little gap here could definitely get filled, but I think we might actually pull down, come down here before we go up. It's a possibility. There's a few possibilities with Euro USD. I think until the market's closed, I'm not really going to be able to certainly tell, but we'll have to wait and see. I think yeah, we'll wait and see that one out. I think at the moment we're correcting here. We could create some structure, and it can be a lot nicer than we expect. Euro GBP, I would say similar situation with quite a few pairs at the moment. We are in those value zones, but we're nowhere near fully ready. I think over here's an interesting point because we've had a push up, and then this is kind of a larger corrective flag, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not actually that big. So is this the expanding to take us higher? It's possible, and I think it's not the sort of price action I'd want to entertain, unfortunately, but it's interesting to see. GBP Swiss. So we had this very interesting, nice structure. So impulse correction, impulse, larger correction, impulse correction, continuation. Now finally coming off for that final push higher, I believe. If we probably have a this is a full-on corrective structured approach. Well, corrective approach. So I would say that when we get up there, just push down on a flag is definitely the best bet. It may continue though, just looking at how momentum is, it may just continue correcting in this channel and go even further. So I wouldn't be betting all my money that this would be coming down anytime soon, but the buy was definitely valuable. This was the buy here, so very interesting trade. Could have even taken the AFT entry in there as well, which no, unfortunately, there wasn't really any sort of AFT or 15-minute flag that was easy to grasp. Perhaps maybe in here, but we wouldn't have broken that trend at that point, so it would have been a little bit premature. And then when we did break it, obviously we moved with that impulse. So yeah, not really the easiest trade to catch, but there'll be opportunity. Euro Aussie, definitely a mistrade. I think phenomenal pair. We had the near miss, tapped into the near miss. And yeah, I think it just kind of just went. I know some people caught a trade in here as well. When I looked at it, I don't think I would have taken it, and I didn't take it, but it's just one of those ones where I guess if it was in your plan, it was in your plan, it was in the mind. So yeah, and then gold. Gold is looking like it could be primed for a sell. I would say probably to be on the safe side, reduce risk is your best bet, but there's this sort of 1, 2, 3 to the high, so we could definitely make that scoop again. I think this could definitely make its way down here before we come back up here. and then potentially come back down. I don't know if the short is what's in the major interest though. I think what I'm interested to see is if we do get that 1, 2, 3 play, and then we do come down here, and then we go back up, that might be enough momentum for us to make that pull with a few corrections along the way, but to get to this high and feel that tiny little miss gap. Something I'm interested to see how that develops, but this is more so a short-term short for the long-term long. So I think this is something that one would be interested in, bearing in mind that this can just kind of plummet to this sort of zone here and then come back up, and then we kind of create something like an expanding, and then over here we just create another expanding and continue. So there's a few variables on the table of what could happen, but I think at the moment let's just be patient and wait this one through. So very good, but the long is definitely more in my interest than the short. However, I would entertain the short still. So yeah, USD CAD is definitely the one I've definitely got my eye on. Two things I'm looking at with this one. So I've currently got a short position. Well, I've got a short position on this one now. But if this doesn't commit and this does start to make its way back up, then I'll be looking at this larger structure and then see it kind of like a falcon flag sort of feel. At the moment, we do have this large correction here. That's kind of what I've got my eyes on. So I'll see how that develops. But yeah, that's basically it. Like that was it for the week. There was a few good trades in here. I think overall, if I switch over to my live trades, I think I had like quite a few trades this week. I'll be very honest with you. This week's only been today and yesterday, in terms of this month, but in terms of this week alone, it's been quite an interesting week. Once again, it was a 7.21% week. I'm currently running around about 2% profit on some of my trades I've got. And then I had 15 trades for the week plus the 17 trades for the week. Still quite a lot of trades, to be honest. It's almost half the amount I had for last month alone. But if I look at just today and yesterday, I think, you know, that's also quite a bit actually, to be honest. Looking at it, it's 6 trades. So yeah, I mean, definitely a bit of overtrading there. Not really made anything break evens. One loss, one profit, and then now I've got a trade running. So yeah, it's been a slow start to the month. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I can kind of stay a little bit sharper with it. I think for sure, definitely quite a lot for myself to improve on. Probably going to grade myself on my setups as well. So we'll see. I'll do my end of week ASR and so forth now. So yeah, have a good weekend.